Hello all, and welcome in to the social race here. I'm confused as to what is happening. Why the screen is just stuck. But anyway, welcome in everyone. We're here for the social race in Mexico. Final social race before our season starts. Welcome in everyone. Weather dry, says Ultra Titan. Welcome in Addiction into the chat. And we're just gonna chill here for a little bit. Click that button. I'm just gonna chill out with the chat for a bit while we wait for the drivers to come out. But we are here in Mexico, short quali, 35% race. Addiction loves the transitions, and I spent my hard-earned money on the transitions, so you better love them. But currently everyone just in the box, chilling out. And we do have our first drivers piling out of the pits. It is Jimmy Dwyer. We have a returning Bud Bow. We have Jake Griffiths, who's new to the league. And everyone else has raced with us before. Slash has raced with us in the social races as well. It'll be Jimmy Dwyer who's first out on track in the McLaren. And we're just going to swap over to actual gameplay. I think everyone's tired of seeing my face already. And we'll follow the McLaren on and out lap. We've also got Budweiser, who it's great to have him back. And I'm sure he's going to be quick on this game because he loves just abusing ERS. And on this game, that is what you do. So this is the game for Budweiser. Great to have him back in the Haas. And we also have Jake Griffiths in the Red Bull, new to WHF. And surprising to see JG and Ultra Titan in the Williams. And Supply Raptor has joined, so we've got a late joiner into the lobby. I assume Supply Raptor's probably going to take the Red Bull or something. If he does stick around. But on board with Jamie Dwyer, we go into turn one. And let's see what he can do in the McLaren. As I forgot to turn my near clip plane a bit, or I forgot to change it a little bit, so it looks like we're seeing a bit through the car. Also, into the braking, why is the car shaking so much? I don't know what that is. Why is the camera shaking so much? I don't know. That's new. I don't know whatever new update they added, but now every braking zone the camera shakes violently for whatever reason. But Jimmy Dwyer makes it through the S's successfully. On the mediums, just doing a little bit of a tester run currently. And through the final sector he goes, which is probably my least favourite final sector in the entire calendar, simply because on the last lap, whenever the fireworks come out, your frame rate absolutely dies. And EA have done nothing to fix that. Meanwhile, Budbo skips over the exit of the S's, invalidates Spared Fungus in the Mercedes, is your first driver. Or jumps up to first with a 15-1. JG with a 14-4. Ultra Titan with a 16-2. A very split field, everyone separated by a second here. Similar to what we seen last week in COTA, where the whole field was split by a couple of seconds. Although in COTA there was changing weather, so it was more understandable. Here it's just a lot of pace differences for whatever reason. But I don't really like what the camera's doing. I don't know. Unless I've just never noticed that before, but Jake Griffiths makes a big error exiting the S's. I wonder, is he just letting through the next car behind? Of Jamie Dwyer, I believe, or it might have been the Merc Frigi. But Jimmy Dwyer probably doing a couple more laps on these mediums, seeing what he can do. And just getting a couple extra practice laps in. Meanwhile, Ty Clear doing the same sort of thing. JG coming up the line. Ultra Titan also coming up the line. Couple drivers just getting a couple extra practice laps in. It seems JG, I think, was probably the only driver, maybe Spared Fungus as well, the only driver properly pushing. It seems the rest of these are just getting a couple practice laps in. Meanwhile, Addiction is 7/10 up, so he seems to be pushing on this lap. It does improve massively there, 8/10. And up to P3 goes. And Ty Clear in the... What button am I pressing? That one. Ty Clear in the Ferrari. Finally will set a lap, and it'll be a 16.8. P6 Ty Clear goes. Jake Griffiths now improving massively on his only valid lap, but doesn't validate in Sector 3. And I was thinking, was that true? And it was. Ultra Titan does have a right wing end plate missing, so I wonder what has happened to Ultra Titan, where he's clipped the wall or something. Meanwhile, we've got Addiction, who's spun at the S's. And he's spun it again. As the Ferrari of Ty Clear was coming through, who's almost level on the Delta. I'm sure that would have been a little bit distracting, and it was. He's lost a 10th since. And hopefully Ty Clear can finish out their lap in the HP Brown Sauce Ferrari. But unable to improve. But Budbo will follow Budbo. A quick driver in the SSR and WHF family. Love to have him back for this sprint race. And Budbo, interested to see his pace. Budbo was unhappy with the last game, so hopefully next game or in this game Budbo can find his pace. We're still yet to see what kind of lap times Budbo's doing. This will be the first valid lap if he can keep it clean through the S's, which he does this time. And just has the final sector to go. Just a couple of corners, and really tough on tires once the wear comes in. And Addiction says he destroyed his rear wing in that spin, which it's handy enough you're in qualifying, because normally it just automatically fixes. But Budweiser now coming across the line, and it will be a 15.4 up to P3 goes Bud. So great to have him back in WHF. Meanwhile, we've got Ultra Titan, who is learning to drive with shoes, which is more difficult than what he was already doing. Meanwhile, Codzilla invalid early on in the lap. And the lanky one yet to set a lap. And also Supply Raptor did join. I didn't see him leave, so Supply Raptor is just waiting in the wings. I wonder, is he going to grab a car eventually and maybe just pick a setup and retire and try and see can he where's the button? That one. I was gonna say about Supply Raptor, yeah, to see if he can do a last first, which I wouldn't doubt he'd be able to do. But anyway, who is next? We've got JG letting Spared Fungus through, who may have been on a lap here, although he isn't valid. I wonder, did that potentially happen during JG? During JG trying to get out of his way, could have been potentially a bit too late, but they're gonna allow JG through. Or that might have been Ultra that time. And Ultra still out with a broken front wing. An Addiction, you don't have any message about your wing repair because in qualifying they just repair automatically. So you can smash the car to pieces as long as you don't actually bin it fully, then you're good. But for those of you watching, we do have sign-ups closing for WHF. They're closing in less than 3 hours. They close it at midnight here in Greenwich Meridian time. Greenwich Mean Time, whatever you want to call it. So we will see... We will get Season 3 of WHF Startup, our first season on the new game. I'll be starting up next week. The calendar to be released potentially Monday, I will see. Meanwhile, Friggy and the Merc. I wonder why the... I maybe need to fix my own camera. Is that why the camera's shaking so much? Because normally it's not supposed to be that way. But Friggy is weaving on the straight. You love to see it, so efficient. Meanwhile, Jake does improve, jumps ahead of Friggy. And Addiction now a 10th up on his lap time. Yeah, Ultra Titan says best fix the camera settings, and yeah, I do think it is my camera settings. Although, up until this point, I did not see the braking zone thing. The bouncing and braking seems to be a spectator glitch. Okay, this is new to me. I did not know that. Because I've not seen that before until now. So it probably is a glitch. Meanwhile, Addiction has a 15.7. Jumps up to P4 with a 15.3. So an improvement. Yeah, I can see some of the car seems to be bouncing, or maybe it's just the camera in the braking zone. It's a bit weird. Meanwhile, Budbo is a 10th up out of the first sector. It says a purple first sector. And now that Budbo is starting to feel the track a bit more, hopefully he can improve. He continues to be a 10th up, which could put him ahead of the lanky one. It would put him ahead of Addiction, but he needs a bit more time if he does want to get the lanky one. And he is pushing the car as hard as he can, and he jumps all the way up to P2. He jumps Spurred Fungus as well. So Budbo up to P2. Anywho, JG warming his tires for the his last run. Godzilla out on his first, hopefully successful run to actually set a lap time. Is yet to set a lap time in the session. You can see how hard COD is pushing. I wonder, has he turned ABS off? It did look like a little bit like he did have ABS off there for a second. I had been encouraging him last game, which was one of the easiest games to turn ABS off. I think it probably is the easiest game to turn ABS off, was the last game. This game it's actually harder because I just feel like there is less feeling. Personally, I locked the rears and I don't even know like what happened. Whereas last game I locked the rears and I knew it was my fault. Whereas this game I locked the rears and I'm like, I don't even know what I did wrong. But Godzilla does go 7th. Meanwhile, Jimmy Dwyer trying to get his lap started. And JG's came back in again. Don't know why. Probably just saving tires. Meanwhile, Budbo trying to improve on his lap here. This may be Budbo's final run, as he will not have the battery to use after. And out of the S as he goes, and as he exits Sector 2, he's a 10th down on his time, so he needs a monster final sector here if he does want to improve. And he is trying to give it everything. And a big loss to the rears, and that's a spin for Budbo. And he did try and give it everything, but in turn he gave too much. Meanwhile, Ultra Titan, big improvement currently here. 3 tenths. Now it's 4 tenths to the good, but needs a couple more tenths now if he does want to jump even further up the grid, as Godzilla improves to P6. And Ultra Titan now crosses the line, goes P2. It's a 15-0. Brilliant lap there for Ultra Titan. Considering he is in shoes, has less feeling, and you know. But Ty Clear coming around. I believe Spared Fungus yet on an in lap. Friggy's on an out lap. Friggy may only have time. To get his lap started. Meanwhile, everyone else is finishing their laps. Friggy may just about get across the line to start his lap, and Friggy just about did as the checkered flag falls now. Ty Clear across the line next. Where can Ty go in the Ferrari? P9 to P8. Meanwhile, the lanky one stays P5 with that lap time. Meanwhile, Addiction is across the line. Didn't improve, but was invalid regardless. Meanwhile, Ultra Titan will not improve on an in lap. Meanwhile, Jake Griffiths, where is his lap time at the moment? And it seems he's on an in lap as well, will not be improving. Jimmy Dwyer also not improving. Godzilla in the grass not improving. It seems that maybe only Friggy who has a chance at improving at this stage. But he does a big cut of the S's, takes some of the boards with him, and somehow it doesn't invalidate until now, as he knew he wasn't improving that lap time. So Friggy will start from the back, unless Supply Raptor is racing. Which I don't know if he is or not, because he did join the lobby, and then I didn't see him leave. I didn't see him grab a car, so I'm not really sure what he's doing. The lanky one says he invalidated his last run. But anyway, as we head on through, it is a Williams 1-2, which I didn't think I'd be saying, to be honest with you. But JG on pole by half a second. So JG at the moment looks like he could just run away with this. followed by Budbo, Spared Fungus, Lanky One Addiction, Codzilla, Ty Clear, Jimmy Dwyer, Jake Griffiths, and Friggy. And we may see Supply Raptor in, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, we will load on into the race. Get your predictions in. Who do you think's going to win? I think it is going to be JG. Half a second over the field, and I don't really think there's anyone who can contend with him. Oh, and unfortunately, Budbo is having some issues with his camera as well. Budbo says that his camera settings are defaulting whenever he comes into a multiplayer lobby, which kind of means he's having to drive with a big halo in his way, which is a tiny bit unrealistic because in real life your eyes can adjust, whereas in the game it's 2D, so your eyes cannot avoid the big halo. That's why most people drive, whenever they do drive cockpit cam, which Budbo is doing, they change the halo to like, it's like just a little slit, which is kind of like how it would be in real life. But anyway, get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think's gonna win? Jimmy Dwyer says, whoever's in the Red Bull, please don't kill me. I'm in a McLaren. I think that's a little ode to the incident earlier with Max and Norris. Gonna head on in, and the drivers can really ready up whenever. It's a social race, so I don't really care if anyone readies up early. To be honest, I mean, again, it's a social race. No one's getting any pens handed out by me. I mean, unless you like kill everyone, then I may have to be like, okay, get out of the league, mate. People just want to race, and you're busy here trying to murder everyone. But we're not at that point yet. But hopefully the drivers have readied up. And we will get underway for 25 laps around Mexico. And it'll be a Williams 1-2 starting. And let's see as the 5 red lights go on. And they're out. Very late. I would have jumped the start there as Spared Fungus gets a lethal start into first immediately. Did he jump the start? As Spared Fungus immediately into first, a lightning start for him there. Meanwhile, JG losing out to his teammate Ultra Titan, and Spared Fungus losing the lead there. But what a start it is from the Mercedes of Spared Fungus, pulling his best George Russell impression. Meanwhile, we can see Budbo and Friggy swapping for positions here. Budbo has the inside line. Friggy may have to concede as he leaves the door open, potentially for Jake Griffiths as well here. But they all filter in behind, and Jake Griffiths is trying to find a way through Friggy. He seems to be struggling through the S's. Oh, and Jake Griffiths loses the rear massively, but catches it majestically. Meanwhile, the lanky one gets ahead of Addiction as he loses the rear massively. Addiction on the inside of of the lanky one. Side by side they're going, and already building the gap here, incidentally, to the leader. Spared Fungus leads us away. There's already a 3-second gap between the top 3 here on lap 2. Meanwhile, Codzilla trying to find a way through on his teammate as there's a 3 wide moment. The lanky one involved here as well. And 3 wide into turn 1 as we've got a lot of desync as well there. And the Ferrari of the lanky one losing out massively here. Budbo gets through. No, they're side by side. Still they go. Both Astons get through on the lanky one. The lanky one may lose out to Budbo as well here, trying to defend with all that he has. But Budbo may keep this position. The lanky one trying to find a way through, but Budbo does get up to P6. And the lanky one, I'm sure, will be slightly annoyed, losing so many positions all in one lap. And as is customary, we see the rear light on Budbo's Haas flashing already on lap 2. Who else could we see that happen to us? There's a yellow flag out as it's Ultra Titan, I believe, has fallen back massively here. Ultra Titan has had some sort of issue that we've missed out on. And Ultra Titan now skipping over the curb has dropped back. I wonder, did he have his own error, or did he have a come together spared fungus? We are yet to find out. Meanwhile, Codzilla already the first driver to pick up a pen, which is unlike Cod to pick up pens. Normally one of the cleaner drivers. As Ultra Titan comes together again with Addiction this time. And now is ghosting through Codzilla. Will get back through again on Codzilla. But has not had the best start as Ultra Titan. Having several issues with multiple other drivers. And there's already a 5-second gap between the leaders and the pack behind. Addiction leading this secondary pack as Ultra Titan trying to find a way through. On the Aston Martin as Friggy picks up a 3-second time penalty. And as it's Mexico, we will see a lot of them, I'm sure. As Ultra Titan sends it in side by side with Addiction. And Addiction around the outside keeps it together. Meanwhile, Codzilla trying to find a way through as well. Fighting over position here. Meanwhile, JG now with the DRS. Can he go for a move on Spared Fungus? Seems Spared Fungus holding the position at the moment. We can see the rear light flashing on that Mercedes in the Williams. Meanwhile, Ultra Titan gets ahead of YT Addiction as Codzilla around the outside of YT as well. 2 Astons fighting here, and maybe Codzilla who keeps it together. And it is Codzilla that keeps it together, and Budbo now may capitalize on Addiction as well, because Addiction does not have the rear wing open. But Budbo unable to find a way through, and he has the Red Bull of Jake Griffiths all over the rear as Addiction makes a mistake, immediately ghosts very quickly. Meanwhile, Ty Clear around the outside of Addiction as well here. And Addiction lost around 5 places in quick succession there. Really close field behind Budbo. Meanwhile, JG as Budbo picks up a 10-second time penalty, which I'm sure if this were an actual racing, it would get removed, because I think that was for Addiction. As Budbo goes off track, losing out to the Red Bull and the Ferrari of the lanky one. Budbo trying to keep it around the outside. He's got Jimmy Dwyer on his inside. Meanwhile, we move up to the front again. It's JG and Spared Fungus battling for the lead here. Can JG find a way through? On Spared Fungus as there's a yellow flag out. I waited for the camera to pan to JG following Spared Fungus through, and when only the Mercedes as there's a big sand from YT. That's a spin caused by his own volition there. But as I was saying, I was expecting JG to appear in the shot, and when just the Mercedes appeared, I was like, where is the Williams gone? And the Williams has had an error out of the first 3 corners, and it's allowed Spared Fungus now a sizable lead at this stage. Meanwhile, there's another yellow flag out. It's Addiction going very far off track now, really struggling with the rear of this Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Codzilla, despite his penalty, is starting to hound Ultra Titan at this stage in the race. Meanwhile, Budbo and Ty Clear chasing Jake Griffiths. And we did see that Ty Clear is missing some of his front wing on the left end plate there. And Jake Griffiths now side by side with the Ferrari, trying to find a way through. Hops over the curb, may open the door to Budbo. If Budbo can find a way through, and he sends it round the outside. I want a bit of contact with the rear of the Red Bull as well for Budbo. Really struggling in this race, it seems. Budbo, you can't blame him with his camera settings, as Jimmy Dwyer trying to find a way through on the Haas driver. As Budbo picks up another time penalty, searching for a way through, but he goes wide, and this is only adding to his struggles at this stage. Spriggy picks up a time penalty as well. And JG now trying to find a way around the outside of the lanky one. JG trying to recover following his mistake that he had earlier on in the Williams. The win could still be on. Meanwhile, there's a big error from Spared Fungus because he's lost around 4 or 5 seconds to Ultra Titan and Godzilla. Now they're right on the rear of Spared Fungus. And I wonder, is this tire wear or something? Because the rear of that Mercedes is struggling so much, and Ultra Titan has just such superior grip to Spared Fungus. It's almost like Fungus has a puncture almost, as there's just absolutely no grip in that Mercedes. You can see it's skating everywhere, and there's just no grip at all. Godzilla now side by side with the Mercedes. The Mercedes goes off, trying to defend here. Meanwhile, Jason Gordon around the outside of Spared Fungus, can't find a way through. But they're all struggling for grip here. And it may be those softs overheating, and it may be time for Spared Fungus to bin those softs off. As we have the DRS open now, JG trying to follow Spared Fungus through. And Spared Fungus looking for a big send on Godzilla, but it seems his tires are massively overheated here. Because through every corner, the rear's so loose, has no grip, can't get any traction. JG struggling for traction simply because he hit the rear of the struggling Mercedes. Meanwhile now, JG looking on the inside of the Mercedes. And JG start on the hards, does get through on the Mercedes, the lanky one on the inside as well of Spared Fungus. And it seems that Spared just struggling on these softs now. They're just massively overheated. Must have spun that has really cooked the temperature of these tires, and he has no grip through these S's. The rear end is just everywhere. He's trying desperately to hold on, but there's really not a lot he can do. It'd be easier if Spared Fungus just boxes onto a new set of tires. Maybe hards with the way he's driving at this stage, because there's no grip left in those softs. And Ty Clear just arriving on the scene, doesn't even really want the move necessarily, but can see the Mercedes skidding everywhere. Meanwhile, JG looking for way through, and Godzilla, who had picked up an early time penalty, which may cost him at the end of this race, but JG wants to reclaim his P1 that he had at the start of this race. Started from pole, and that is not going to help his chances. He does get through in Godzilla, but he cuts the corner massively, which well, is definitely at least one warning, and at the end could cost him if he does pick up another warning. And he does have his teammate of Ultra Titan 7/10 up the road. Meanwhile, the lanky one does get through in Godzilla. Coldzilla has spun out of the S's, and I think the lanky one must have picked up that time penalty, simply avoiding the spinning Aston Martin, or maybe even caused the contact that caused the Aston Martin to spin. Either way, the lanky one gets ahead of Coldzilla, and Coldzilla unfortunately spun. I don't know what has caused it, but nonetheless, we move on to lap 10. About a third of the way through in this race, as JG now on the rear of his Williams teammate. And last season, Season 2 of WHF, Ultra Titan finished P3 in the championship ahead of JG, who finished P4. But in this race, I do believe JG has superior pace due to Ultra Titan. Oh, as we're having hilariously major desync. I do believe JG is more pace due to Ultra Titan making the move to wearing shoes with his rig. And thus has less feeling in the car. As you can see from that lockup, just doesn't have the confidence that he had under the brakes that he used to. Meanwhile, I believe that might be Coldzilla around again, and you can just see whenever the tires get overheated in this game, that is them basically gone. It's like a flat spot on the tires. You may as well just box to get them off. Meanwhile, Ty Clear, I wonder, are the Ferrari pit crew going to actually fix his front wing? Has he told them to? Has he told them not to? Currently, it looks like they're not going to fix his front wing. I wonder, will he be frustrated with that or not? We will see. Meanwhile, Jimmy Dwyer losing out to Jake Griffiths, who gets ahead now into P3. And Jimmy Dwyer into the rear of Jake, as Coldzilla's retired from the session in the pits, unhappy with how his evening has gone. Meanwhile, Jimmy Dwyer trying to find a way through on Jake Griffiths. We've seen out of turn 1, got too close to the rear of the Red Bull and had some contact, but now Jimmy Dwyer now, as we head on to lap 12, can he find a way through on the Red Bull of Jake Griffiths to head down the main straight? And surely this is a slam dunk move for the McLaren, as he does have the Red Bull defending. Hopefully we don't see any antics that we've seen earlier in Austria in real life, and it's just a comfortable move for the McLaren. And the Red Bull will not have DRS on this next straight, as the detection point is in the final corner, which should give Jimmy Dwyer some breathing room to escape from the Red Bull. But you can see in the braking zone, Jake Griffiths closing up. But can he stay within the DRS currently? He seems to have fallen out of the DRS, so Jimmy Dwyer may have held on, as we see Jake struggling with the rear. As Friggy picks up another time penalty, you can see Jake struggling with the rear, trying to catch Jimmy Dwyer, but seems to be overheating the rears, which is very common at Mexico. Even before this game, it seems a lot more difficult to keep the tires in the right window, as we see Jimmy Dwyer dive into the pit lane, and Jake Griffiths is going to continue onward. But what is the ideal strategy? We are yet to know. Meanwhile, Ultra Titan on the hard sets the fastest lap and is heading down the road after the lanky one. Meanwhile, JG's probably doing a hard medium at this stage, or maybe a hard soft, and Ultra Titan moves very late, moving with the lanky one. Big lockup, very out of shape. The lanky one gonna look to try and get through, but Ultra Titan does get that car under control and will have the DRS again, so he will be able to maintain that position. But the lanky one potentially could have taken advantage from Ultra Titan going very deep into turn 1 there. But I'm sure he wasn't expecting Ultra Titan to gain on like the way he did on the straights. He wasn't expecting the move in the first place. A bit like Bottas and Raikkonen here in Mexico back when Bottas was in the Williams. Meanwhile, Jake Griffiths picks up his first time penalty of the evening as Ultra Titan with another big lockup. The lanky one may have picked up a warning as we're on board with him trying to fight after the Williams. As we see Jake Griffiths come in, we see the Williams and the Ferrari continue on, as I do believe they both have boxed already. Let's have a look at the stops. Yeah, only Budbo and JG yet to stop in this race. And the lanky one and Ultra Titan are on even tires here. So it is an even battle here between the Ferrari and the Williams. But as we move on through, it is the lanky one continuing to battle with Ultra Titan, 10 laps to go, and JG still yet to box, so I believe JG will try and switch onto the softs when he does get the opportunity. And Budbo was trying the same thing, but I wonder if they're trying to stay out for a safety car as the lanky one gets a very good run out of the final corner, and it may be an easy overtake down the main straight as Ultra Titan unable to do anything to defend from the lanky one. And I just want to check the settings really quick to double check. Is the safety car on? The safety car, yeah, the safety car is on. It's on standard. It's supposed to be on reduced, but it's actually on standard. Meanwhile, Addictions made some sort of error that's caused him to ghost, which has allowed Jake Griffiths on through. But it's actually more likely for the safety car to come out on standard. But we're yet to see it at this stage, as JG now comes in for his stop onto the softs. Budbo, we will see what he does. Does he come onto the softs as well? Budbo, I think, may be continuing on. I think Budbo may be trying just to last until the safety car. JG does switch onto the mediums, so I think we're all just kind of aware of how high the tire wear is on this game. Especially JG. Meanwhile, Ultra Titan sends it on the inside of the lanky one, and the Ferrari defending with all his might. Oh, it's Ultra Titan's in the wall! Ultra Titan has lost it out of turn 1, and that is a safety car. And Ultra Titan, we were on board with him there in the Williams. He lost it out of turn 1 and cooked the rears, and that is what happens when you drive with shoes, kids. This is, I mean, drive in your drive in your socks. Unfortunately for Ultra Titan, hopefully this will give Ty a chance to get on to softs, and not only that, fix his front wing. But unfortunately for Ultra Titan, still struggling to get to grips with 1, cockpit cam, and 2, driving in shoes, which again reduces the feeling in the force feedback that you have with the car. I know whenever the force feedback turns off on my controller, it feels like I'm driving blind. I don't know where I'm going. So, unfortunately for him, but meanwhile, JG's going to continue on the mediums here. So JG thinks his mediums are going to be strong enough. Meanwhile, Budweiser going to serve his 10-second time penalty under the safety car, which is a smart move for him. And he is going to swap onto the softs. The lanky one will get through on Budbo. But the fact that he did get the opportunity to get that 10-second time penalty served will help him in this race. Meanwhile, Spared Fungus comes out as well. Ty Clear. Did he get the front wing changed? We are waiting to see. And nope, did not get the front wing changed. Did not tell his pit crew to fix his front wing. So he will continue on missing that front wing, which at Mexico, of all places, I think is one of the worst places to lose your front wing, because I can only imagine the S's are so cruel. Meanwhile, JG right up behind the Aston Martin safety car. Will get us restarted. Starting from pole here, and he's in a strong position here to get the win. As the two drivers behind have 3 seconds of time penalties, but they do have fresher tyres, so can they hold on to the rear of JG? We will see. I'm also looking to see on the final lap, does the frame rate kill itself now that I'm on PC? Ty Clare picks up a time penalty, which under the safety car is just something you don't want to be doing, to be honest. I'm sure Ty a little let down by doing that under the safety car. But I wonder, is Ty going to come back in again and try and fix his front wing? We will see. No, Ty's going to stay out on the broken front wing. I wonder, does he know that he's got a bit missing? Has anyone at Ferrari told him? Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, as we're on lap 18 of 25, get your predictions in. Who do you think is going to win the race? But, yeah. Unfortunately, don't have the graphic that AJ had where he was in the safety car, but you know, we can just hang out a little bit under the safety car, and you can let me know your thoughts and feelings on things, you know. But other than that, there's not a whole lot I can offer. But we're under the safety car conditions. Only 3 drivers have avoided penalties so far in this race. It seems that the safety car will be in this lap, so let me flick over to the gameplay. And we will see JG try and restart us here, as Jake Griffiths and Fridgie have 9 seconds. The remainder of drivers with penalties have 3. But when will JG go? And it seems he's gone now. Has he got a good enough restart? He's opened up the door to the lanky one, who will have a long tow down the main straight. Meanwhile, Spared Fungus, who has amazing straight line speed here, may get into turn 1 in the lead, but backs out. Oh, and there's a big collision there with Budbo. Spared Fungus involved. And Budbo, unfortunately, spun around. And it has all gone from bad to worse for Budbo. He did serve that 10-second time penalty. It looked like he had played the strategy perfectly, but unfortunately, contact through turn 3 may have ended Budbo's race here. He may have some damage, and even if he doesn't, the potential win that may have been on the cards is surely gone. Meanwhile, the lanky one, in all of the kerfuffle, did get through into P1. But JG knows that he doesn't have any pains. Meanwhile, Budbo picks up another time penalty. Jake Griffiths picking up a time penalty as well. Now Budbo on the rear, but it's actually Ty Clear, despite his damage, going for the move on Jimmy Dwyer. So Ty Clear does have a lot of pace in this Ferrari, despite missing part of his front wing, like we've seen Charles Leclerc missing earlier on in Austria. But the difference is Ty Clear is in P4. Meanwhile, Spared Fungus trying to catch JG as JG's fallen into DRS from the lanky one. The lanky one, let's double check now, has 3 seconds of time penalties. Can the lanky one pull a gap to the Williams driver on the fresher mediums? Does JG have the pace to hold on to the DRS? Meanwhile, Jake Griffiths has had a mistake. Meanwhile, Budbo and Friggy coming together. Jake Griffiths spun in the S's, really struggling for grip as everyone through these S's. Meanwhile, Budbo battling with Friggy at this stage. Will have the DRS enabled, should enable him to make the move. Meanwhile, Spared Fungus now and JG inside the DRS of the lanky one. So at the moment they would finish 1-2. Jimmy Dwyer gets ahead of Ty Clear. Meanwhile, Budbo gets ahead of Friggy. But the battle for the win here is certainly on. Jake Griffiths retires in the pits, has called it a day. Meanwhile, the battle for the win still rages on the lanky one. And JG, as Friggy picks up another time penalty, just going to not help his race. Meanwhile, Spared Fungus struggling with the rears yet again through the S's, holds on to it, but didn't look amazingly confident, did those rear tires. Meanwhile, JG still on the back of the lanky one, and as it stands, JG is a net P1. The lanky one is going to try and hope that JG and Spared Fungus have some coming together that enables him to escape the 3-second penalty margin that currently the lanky one has. But at this stage, it doesn't seem like that is going to happen. It seems like JG is going to take the lead of the race into turn 1 and will have the extra dose of DRS. But he loses the rear massively through turn 2, and it may open the door to the lanky one, who goes off, and it's invited Spared Fungus through. There's a 3-wide moment, and the Mercedes of Spared Fungus has gotten through as the lanky one now around the outside of JG. And JG, just like that, may have lost the lead of this race, and he has. Spared Fungus now is in prime position to get his first win in WHF, as he leads now on lap 22 of 25. JG now can see the leader, but can he catch him? The lanky one battling with Spared Fungus here, but Spared Fungus knows he just has to keep JG behind at this stage. And JG trying to search for a move. Spared Fungus allowing the lanky one through because he knows the DRS will be his down the main straight, which will enable him to defend from JG. And into P1 he goes, but JG has the overspeed. Can JG get into turn 1 in the lead? Side by side he goes with the Mercedes. Mercedes and Williams battling here for the win. Spared Fungus gets through. There's contact with the lanky one there. There's some debris come off the Ferrari, I believe, as he ran into the rear of the Williams. Meanwhile, JG trying to find a way through on Spared Fungus. 3 laps to go in this race, and it's been a very exciting one. Battling for the win here. But Spared Fungus gets through the S's, but can JG finally get the move now on the main straight as Spirit Fungus losing a bit of the rear? And he actually lets off the throttle, lets JG through, playing a bit of DRS chicken here. But is it the right move? He's got the lanky one now 2/10 behind. But Spirit Fungus is running incredibly low wings and just blows straight by JG. And that's why we can see that Spirit Fungus has been struggling with the rear, because JG... Oh, as the lanky one almost loses the car the same way Ultra Titan lost it. But currently, Spirit Fungus in the lead on the penultimate lap here. We've one more lap to go. You can see the straight line speed. The lanky one picks up another pen, and that's pretty much cemented his P3. May even lose the P3 to Jimmy Dwyer, who's battling with Ty Clear at this moment. But we will stay with this battle of JG and Spirit Fungus. And Spirit Fungus knows his impeccable straight line speed, and he's just going to let JG through. And JG may lose this position because Spirit Fungus is running so much lower wings here. He is struggling for traction now. He's almost 8/10 back now. But you can see the rear light flashing on the Williams. And with these ultra low wings, he's just going to blow by him. JG needs to make sure he doesn't lose out to the lanky one as well here, because the lanky one isn't even really in this fight for position. He's more in it for pride. Meanwhile, JG looking for a way back through on Spirit Fungus, but you can see the low wings continue to pull away the Mercedes. But through the S's, the Mercedes is going to struggle. Can JG find a way through there, as he's all over the rear of the Mercedes here on the final lap? Is there an opening for the Williams to get through as he struggles for traction all over the rear of the Mercedes? Which we can see as he's running lower wings, he will struggle for grip through the S's. And there's one more DRS zone as Spirit Fungus almost loses it, and he picks up a time penalty. And that will be all she wrote. JG now will surely inherit the lead as there's a bit of wheel banging. But JG now into the lead as Spirit Fungus chucks it up the inside. Battling for pride at this moment, because JG surely has the win in the bag. And as they round the final corner, JG will finish ahead. But it'll be Spirit Fungus P2 followed by the lanky one. Meanwhile, Jimmy Dwyer will finish ahead of Ty Clear on track, followed by Bud Bow. But Jimmy Dwyer just about misses on the podium by 1.8. GG's in the chat says the lanky one, and it was great battling. And it will be JG winning, and Spirit Fungus will have to lick his wounds after, unfortunately, getting a late time penalty, which ultimately cost him the victory. He did lose the position as well. But I feel like he would have fought even harder if he had not had that time penalty. But JG is your winner, followed by Spirit Fungus, who does pick up the fastest lap. And the lanky one finishes P3 ahead of Jimmy Dwyer, Ty Clear, Budbo, Frigi, Addiction, Jake Grippus, Ultra, and COD. But that has been it from me here, WHF Arrow, here at the final social race of our pre-season. The season starts next week as the calendar will be released in the Discord in the coming days. But hope you all have enjoyed. We're going to try and find someone to raid on our way out if we can. But thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please drop a follow, as we will be raiding this guy, E Walker. So make sure to drop him a follow on your way over there as well. But thank you all for watching. I've been WF Arrow, and goodbye.
Overtake and burn off some of this energy.
Hey, we have fun coming in the raid!